Boy, oh boy, what a weekend. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzyshow. This is the Farzy Show. I am in recovery after this weekend. I always feel like whenever I go down to my brother-in-law's house in Maryland, that I need like a day. You know how people say they get back from a vacation and they need a vacation from their vacation before they can actually re-enter their natural environment, the workplace, whatever, their everyday environment. That's kind of how I feel. But we'll talk about that and how we killed a keg at a 1-year-old's birthday party. Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and the weekend that was the weekend of the Philadelphia sports fan. This was in that note, not just the Phillies winning 2 of 3 against the Royals, which they damn well should have. I mean, they should have swept. But, it is what it is. They still won the series. And then the Philadelphia fans showing up 50,000 plus at Lincoln Financial Field for the Eagles open practice in South Philly in front of their fans. It was a thing of beauty. But the story of the weekend, ladies and gentlemen, it was you. It was the Philadelphia sports fan. What an incredible weekend. We will cover it all. I want to start it with Trey Turner, and I want to make sure you guys understand where I'm at in all of this, okay? I know that there has been a couple of different areas that have championed this cause, and I want to at least give him some shout-outs here. The Trey Turner standing ovation. I know it was on Reddit. Reddit picked it up and ran with it. I know Jack Fritz, the guy I know, of course, from WIP. He was a big champion of the cause. I know Philly Captain was a big champion of the cause on the old YouTube there, and a guy I've gotten to know a little bit through covering the Wings and all that fun stuff. Philadelphia Wings Lacrosse. Let's go. Whose ever idea it was to start this, it was a beautiful thing. It's something that nobody really saw coming, and it's something that Philadelphia would just about never do, especially for a high-priced free agent signing in Philadelphia and underachieving drastically to the point of hurting the team. I loved it. Absolutely 1 billion% loved it. When I heard the idea for the first time, when I saw the idea for the first time, I thought, giving Trey Turner a standing ovation, despite the fact that he has been really bad this year after a $300 million deal. I love it. Let's do something different. If the manager can't figure it out, if the hitting coach can't figure it out, and this really is all in the head of Trey Turner, then there's only one thing that can help him, and that's a little bit of a confidence boost. And you know who gave him that confidence boost? The Philadelphia sports fan. Kevin Long couldn't crack this code. Rob Thompson couldn't crack this code. Dave Dombrowski couldn't crack this code. Trey Turner's own mother apparently couldn't crack this code. Nobody could crack the code. The only people that could were us, the Philadelphia sports fan, who gave Trey Turner a standing ovation throughout every at-bat Saturday night, throughout every at-bat Friday night, a standing ovation for a drastically underachieving, very well-paid free agent acquisition. That, to me, is fantastic. And you could bring about, you talk about other names that we've done similar things for in Philadelphia, and the two that really jump to mind. One is Pat Burrell, because after Pat Burrell's rookie season, I want to say it was, he came out with bleached blonde hair. Well, first he struggled mightily, barely batting 200. And then he bleached his hair blonde. I think it was Tyler Houston that inspired that, a recent free agent acquisition by the Phillies, Ed Wade at the time. But Pat Burrell was in it. And Pat Burrell did not get booed, drastically. He got support. And I remember the sentiment at the time was that Philadelphia was really hard on Mike Schmidt. So they didn't want to be really hard on Pat Burrell. That was the sentiment at the time. And Pat Burrell, of course, went on to help this team win a World Series about 6 years after that went down, where he wasn't getting the support, or where he was getting the support from the fan base, and went on to have a nice career with the Phillies. That, to me, is incredible. Alec Boehm with the I bleeping hate this place. He stood in his locker. He owned it. He got standing ovations. He got the support from the Philadelphia fan base. And he has continued to be a great hitter for this team. And he has continued to also be one hell of a third baseman. And sure, a little error yesterday, not so great, but they'd been called upon to play both corners throughout the entire season. That is fantastic. And then to see Trey Turner stand in his locker after Game 3 against the Miami Marlins and absolutely own that 13 inning, 12 inning affair, and the fact that he lost the game for the team and that he was in the batting cages till midnight after that game. And he was out there trying to improve himself, and he was out there in his locker owning his own mistakes. For him to come back to Philadelphia to that type of ovation, and then for him, ovations, and then for him to come into the ballpark on Saturday and respond with a lead-taking, go-ahead, 3-run home run, and to come up with a 4 RBI game in total, and to come up with another hit yesterday, and to respond from that after the ovations by now hitting .333 in the 3 games since the ovations started, that is beautiful. And that's just baseball. Philadelphia sports fans then ran out of Citizens Bank Park to go across the street to watch practice. Yeah, practice, man. Not a game. Practice. 50,000 plus on hand, minus one idiot Cowboys fan who just had to show everyone he was a Cowboys fan. Everybody else, the Eagles fans, all excited to watch the Eagles in their open practice. Philadelphia fans, I love you. You are absolutely incredible, man. You know what? I've told you guys this before, but I remember being 11 years old and just moving back to the Philadelphia area. I remember listening to sports talk radio at the time and just thinking how nuts the fans sounded here. That to me, when you're first introduced to something is usually when it's like, most prevalent to you. Like this is the moment, this is the best, all that stuff. Anytime I get reminded of that moment, because I didn't grow up in like a crazy passionate, like my dad wasn't painting his face, Kelly Green, when I was a kid, that wasn't happening. Neither was mom. But I didn't grow up in that kind of wild fan base in my home. All right. So anytime I get exposed to that by you, the Philadelphia sports fan, the crazed Philadelphia sports fan, I get reminded for why I wanted to talk into a microphone as a career. Because I wanted to be, a leader or not a leader. I wanted to be someone to be able to cover that kind of thing. I wanted to be in the middle of that kind of thing, that kind of passion. And seeing that this weekend, whether it was at the Phillies or whether it was with the Eagles, was absolutely awesome. So kudos to you, the Philadelphia sports fan, for having such an amazing weekend. As for what the teams gave us, I'm actually going to start it off with the Eagles in open practice because it just shows you how much you crave it. And hearing Nick Sirianni talk about this fan base, and we'll hear from Nick Sirianni coming up in a second. Well, let's talk about the Eagles' acquisitions. They're adding 2 linebackers. They have added 2 linebackers to the fray here. The Kobe Dean's a little banged up right now. Unfortunately, they were already thin at the position, as I think most of you know. So they went out there and they added Zach Cunningham and they added Miles Jack. I know Miles Jack was a name a lot of people were interested in, most recently with the Steelers. Previous to that, he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Zach Cunningham coming over for the Tennessee Titans. These are guys that have starting experience. So, yes, it raises your eyebrows and makes you think, oh, maybe they're looking to make a change at linebacker and not just depth. From what I heard from Nick Sirianni over the weekend, it does sound like, at least right now, depth. But here's the deal. I have said that if I'm buying stock, I'm buying stock in the Kobe Dean. If I'm buying stock, I'm still buying stock in the Kobe Dean after these acquisitions. However, you have to acknowledge that if the Kobe Dean can't stay healthy, or if the Kobe Dean can't get healthy, or if the Kobe Dean is struggling, and to this point, we don't know. All we've heard is the Kobe Dean has made like one really big play in practice. He's commanded the defense well. He definitely wants to be in that leadership role, which is fantastic. And obviously he has a great pedigree, being one of the many Georgia Broad Street Bulldogs that the Philadelphia Eagles have. But if he can't cut it, if when push comes to shove, he gets shoved and doesn't do a lot of the pushing, then, yeah, the Eagles are going to have to make a change. Right now they have some guys that can step in there and make that change, help them and aid them in making that change. Maybe that's the Kobe Dean bouncing to the outside and having a guy like Miles Jack or Zach Cunningham occupy more of the, the middle of the defense. But that's to be seen. But these are 2 guys that could certainly take over that kind of role that the Philadelphia Eagles are looking possibly looking for. So we'll get into that conversation. But Nakobe Dean was brought up, as one would assume, at the press conference yesterday with Nick Sirianni, saying, is this at all a reflection? Were these acquisitions at all a reflection of Nakobe Dean and how he has been playing and performing so far at training camp?
Oh, shoot, no. I mean, again, like I said, I feel really good about the room. Just wanted to get some competition in there. I feel really good about Nakobe. When he was out there, he was doing a nice job running the defense, being in position to make plays. Had a really big splash play, knocked the ball out, and has done really good as far as just in coverage and just being around the football and knowing what to do. So I'm really pleased with where Nakobe is right now.
That's what the coach said. Now, the coach isn't going to say, now, for the people that are like, well, what's he going to say? Well, he's not going to say, he's not going to acknowledge really Nakobe's struggles, I think, publicly, if there are struggles. The only thing you can do at this point is talk about depth pieces, and that's what he's doing. These guys were on hand yesterday, but they did not practice yesterday. Obviously, they'll be worked into everything this week ahead of Saturday's kickoff against the Ravens, where the Eagles, of course, will start their preseason. But I think Coach hit all the right notes there yesterday when it came to adding depth to the linebacker position, saying that they were a little light in that room right now, unfortunately, and they needed to make sure they had some names in there and some bodies, especially with some people going through some injury. I still think Nakobe Dean is going to be your starting middle linebacker when the season gets underway. Myles Jack coming in here, yes, he will give him some stiff competition. That's the other thing they said. Other than just bringing in bodies for depth, it's still competition. And Myles Jack is a guy who's got a lot of experience under his belt at the NFL level. Very talented player. Both these guys are former second-round picks. Myles Jack's 27 years old. Zach Cunningham is 28 years old. So it's not like these guys are really long in the tooth and their careers are far behind them and they're just looking to cash that final paycheck. It's not a matter of that. You bring in guys that are this side of 30 instead of that side of 30, the right side of 30, I guess you'd call it. These guys are going to be competition. My money's still on Dean. But these guys are going to be competition. They're not going to just be depth. And it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if Myles Jack. If Myles Jack comes up here and all of a sudden starts, jacking some snaps from the rest of the crew, including Nakobe Dean. Wouldn't shock me. But I think the Eagles right now, and this isn't going to be the best comparison simply because one is ahead of the other in their own position battles, their own individual position battles. But the Eagles are rooting for Sidney Brown to take over a starting safety spot. As of right now, that doesn't seem to be the case. At practice yesterday, Kayvon Wallace continued to split reps with Terrell Edmonds for the starting safety job opposite Reed Blankenship. Kayvon Wallace, what? Thought he was forgotten about. Thought he was a special teamer, but no, he's getting reps. He's getting snaps. Split with the first team with Terrell Edmonds. You know who's the guy that's fighting for reps with the second team? Sidney Brown. You know who the guy the Eagles really hope wins that battle? Sidney Brown. But Sidney Brown's got a long way to go to even creep into the first team reps category. Nakobe Dean is the guy the Eagles are hoping is their starting middle linebacker. But right now, they don't have many other options. Christian Ellis, all due respect, not so much, okay? You look at other positions right there, or other players at the linebacker spot, Van Sumeren, who we've talked about. He crept his way into some first-team reps yesterday as they were mixing it out, really rotating guys well at practice. I don't read into it really too much. It's just really getting everybody the experience in front of, a packed house when it comes to actually taking snaps in front of a packed NFL house. So it's pretty incredible to listen to it like that or just think about it like that. But these are all guys, though. Nakobe Dean, again, is a guy that they're rooting for, a guy they've already put in their number one middle linebacker spot. But these guys coming in here will certainly push the envelope a little bit. Not just depth, competition. Again, Nick Sirianni talked about all the right things, said all the right things, but it's not just depth, it's competition. And he did acknowledge that during yesterday's session, talking about how he does feel good about the room, said he was a little bit low in that position. Nakobe is working his way back when it comes to that ankle injury. And he did say he wanted to add some competition. Just wanted to add competition to the room, and that's one of their core values, competition. So when you're bringing good players, like these two guys have been in this league, that's only going to raise the level of everybody else in the room on defense. Couldn't have said it better myself there, coach. That was a quote, by the way. End quote. Couldn't have said it better myself there, coach. Good job. One of the other things that came out of practice yesterday, well, at least from Nick Sirianni's press conference, two things. Jalen Hurts. I know our friend Marcus Hayes received a lot of criticism for the insecure comment. It was a compliment. He meant it as a compliment. And if you listen to it, I agree with a lot of the points. Yes, the adjective, the description, he's insecure, that probably rubbed people the wrong way. But if you look at it in another light, it's like, do you want a quarterback that is thinking the entire time, no matter what I do, this is my job? Like, do you want a quarterback getting too comfortable? Right? If you look at it from the other side. Because Jalen Hurts is not that guy at all. And that's why when I talk to football writers that we'll have on the show, when we talk to players that we'll have on the show, I'll ask him about, if he's looking in the mirror, what's Jalen Hurts critiquing himself for? Is he talking more about being a little bit more accurate than last year, throwing a little bit better of a deep ball, breaking down defenses a little bit faster, being able to check down during a play, maybe being able to make an audible, a pre-snap read, make it an audible? Is he talking about maybe throwing the running backs more? Is he talking about running less? Like, what is Jalen Hurts going into next year? Other than everything, I want to improve on everything. I hate when you ask a player, what do you focus on to get better? Well, everything. Okay, great. I love that, but specifically, what are you trying to really get better at? So Jalen Hurts comes out and has that type of mindset that he needs to get better at everything. You could call it insecure. You could talk about the pursuit of perfection, whatever you want to call it. Jalen Hurts, and we saw this story on Saturday. Jalen Hurts wants to be coached hard. That's been talked about for the last 2-3 years. He wants to be coached hard. So Nick Sirianni grabbed a couple of headlines on Saturday when apparently he was really chewing out Jalen Hurts for making a couple of bad throws, playing below the level of play that we know he could play at, that Nick Sirianni knows he could play at, and yes, that Jalen Hurts knows he could play at. So I think it was Dave Zingaro that actually asked Nick Sirianni about this, about being coached hard. And to me, I think that sums up the exact type of personality that you want in a quarterback. Because we all know, because we went through it with Carson Wentz, where maybe a guy like John DeFilippo, the former quarterbacks coach of the Eagles during their Super Bowl run, maybe Frank Reich, maybe they could get away with coaching him hard, but anybody else, no, don't criticize me. That sounds a little bit more insecure than anything. But here is Nick Sirianni talking about how valuable it is to have a player that you could, quote unquote, coach hard like Jalen Hurts.
Well, shoot, when you can coach your best player the hardest, I mean that's good for everybody, because all that's important is that you continue to get better at every different spot. And so, Jalen, it's evident by who he is as a person. He craves and wants to be better at all times. And I remember when I first got here, he was like, "Man, just coach me hard." And I've always obviously remembered that, and that's my style, to coach the guys hard to make sure we're getting better. But I also think it's very important, and I think it's just the way of the world, right? I think a story is when, Nick got after Jalen Reagor or whoever it was, like whoever, you say. But I think it's just as important, and I just think about that because I remember that was the first thing you guys said when I yelled at the practice field. But it's equally as important to praise when they do it right.
I don't know why Jalen Reagor was the first name that popped in his mind, but that was the first name that popped in his mind. I really think the phrase that comes back to mind time and time again with Nick Sirianni is the phrase emotional intelligence. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't remember that, after Chip Kelly was fired and frankly made Jeffrey Lurie feel like Jeffrey Lurie didn't own the team anymore, that Chip Kelly owned the team, and Jeff Lurie was just like some rich uncle that just kept doling out, hundreds on birthdays and whatever. Emotional intelligence certainly describe Doug Peterson, and it certainly describes Nick Sirianni. He's got that emotional intelligence. He has the open heart that Jeffrey Lurie also talked about, the characteristics that he likes in the head coach. And Nick Sirianni certainly has that, and he wants to do both sides. I don't think that Nick Sirianni, though, will ever force an issue just to force an issue. It was with one particular player, with one individual player, meaning he's not going to drastically look for criticism just to look for criticism with one player. I think players throughout a season will make enough mistakes where you'll have that opportunity to get in their ear. And I've heard coaches say in the past, you only have so many bullets as a head coach. You start firing, and every once in a while, people just start ignoring it. You can only cry wolf so many times as a head coach. So you can't really be too nitpicky. Otherwise, you're going to be like, oh, that really serious? On that? Seriously? Now, with an entire team like Nick Sirianni has done each of the last 2 seasons, he'll call out the entire team. Hey, I don't like what I'm seeing in practice right now in the early goings of practice. So he'll say something to make sure everybody pulls focus. We're not going to, hey, if you guys want to have this easy schedule, if you guys want to have more of a relaxed schedule in training camp, then I better make sure we're capitalizing on every single second of the schedule that we're actually working hard and exerting ourselves. To hear him talk about it like this with Jalen Hurts, about chewing him out, about trying to make him pull focus, about trying to see him get to that bar that we know he can get at and make sure that he is practicing perfect every single day to get ready to play as perfect as he can on game day. I love to hear that. And I know Philadelphia fans love to hear that as well. And I love that Philadelphia fans are also hearing that Jalen Hurts wants that same type of criticism. And it almost reminds me of Malcolm Jenkins, the year after they won the Super Bowl, to kick off the season in South Philly, and they unfurled the Super Bowl banner, and they played like crap in the first half. And then they ran that, not Philly special, but Philly in the second half, right? But after the first half, they got booed off the field. Malcolm Jenkins had his locker after the game being asked about being booed. Now you guys just won the Super Bowl, and you're getting booed already? He's like, hey, man, I would have booed us too. Super Bowl was last year. Like, the guy just gets it. The fans being on him and are on the team, for everyone knowing that they can play better than what they were seeing in that first half, they kick him in the ass. They just let him know, hey, we're seeing this. Let's go. Enough of this. It's not unlike the head coach. It's not unlike the head coach at all. I think players know that the fans love them. I would certainly hope after 50,000 plus show up at the at Lincoln Financial Field that you understand that, yeah, we love you. I would certainly hope the players have been here for a minute. Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox. They've seen these Philadelphia fans travel to their games, take over cities, take over party boats, take over the LA County Coliseum for that Rams game, the year they won the Super Bowl, the year that the game that Carson Wentz got hurt. I remember Sean McVay talking about having to practice the silent count in their own stadium because they knew Philadelphia was coming. So there's no doubt that Philadelphia loves their team. And I always compare it to this. It's like talking about a parent. I mean, you love your kids. That doesn't mean they don't frustrate you from time to time. That doesn't mean that they might make you yell from time to time. I said a 3-hour car ride back with Lil Tuts from Maryland. Leo was out, little angel. Montalot's full of opinions. Going to be 4 years old this week. It can be frustrating. And I think we look at our teams a lot like that. Well, yeah, we love you unconditionally. That doesn't mean you can get under our skin from time to time. And I think other players know that. And I think coaches know that. And to hear a coach have that same type of mindset, well, yeah, of course he loves his players. He wants to praise his players. But at the same time, he's got to make sure they're doing everything right. And for Jalen Hurts to still have that desire, even though he's coming off one hell of a year, he still knows that he can get better. And he still knows. This is what's impressive about it. Whatever word you want to describe his work ethic, here's one thing that I really find fascinating about him. That Jalen Hurts is the kind of guy that no matter how good he plays, he is always striving for perfection. And even if he's coming off an incredible year, one of the best years we've ever seen a quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, even though he's coming off that year, and he's young, and he's got his whole career in front of him, and he was rewarded by at one point being the highest paid quarterback in the league. Even after all that, winning the NFC, getting to a Super Bowl, MVP consideration, all pro, all that. No, man, I'm just QB1 right now. QB1 right now. And to have that relationship with his head coach and both of them really wanting the best out of each other, I just think that there is a recipe there for long-term success in Philadelphia. And that might sound very obvious to a lot of people here in Philadelphia. But not only for these guys to be good at what they do, but for these guys to be on the same page and for Nick Sirianni to have the understanding that if Jalen Hurts really wants to reach his full potential, Jalen Hurts needs Nick Sirianni to coach him in a certain way. And Nick Sirianni knowing how to do that, how to push the right buttons, and Jalen Hurts wanting those buttons pushed and not being Mr. Sensitive when the wrong button might get pushed at the wrong time, but just understanding it's all coming with the vein of success and love, I think is great. It's beautiful. And having that kind of quarterback head coach relationship is what you'll need to have success here. I'm very excited for the very near future here in Philadelphia. One more thing Nick Sirianni talked about, and this is more of a love affair with the fan base of Philadelphia, was the 50,000 plus showing up at Lincoln Financial Field. This question was posed by Dave Uram, KYW News Radio. In light of Trey Turner getting the ovations, he wanted to ask the head coach about the fan base coming out to support the team tonight. Here's Nick Sirianni on the fans coming out to see the squad.
Oh man, this is the best home field advantage in the NFL, maybe in all of sports. All right, I haven't been to every venue, but I feel like I've been to every NFL venue, and there's not a harder place to play than this. And why is that? Because we have passionate fans that love the Eagles, that care about the Eagles, and care about their teams in the city. And this is the best sports town in America, and I'm just honored to be a part of it and to hear that. You know, I think we were coming over here and you told me, what, 50,000? Over 50,000. I'm really excited. Like, I remember last year, AJ and Zach Pascal kind of being like, whoa. Like, I remember, like, I can't remember what I saw, but there was like, man, Philly's lit. And, like, I can't wait for our guys this year to see that as well. I know the guys that have been.
You get the idea. Yeah, they love us, and we love them right back. Could you imagine that? Like, let's think about this. I think about a quote from J.J. Redick a lot when it comes to people talking about the Philadelphia fan base. And J.J. Redick had played a long career in the NBA even before he came to Philadelphia. And he was like, this is the first sports city I've really played in. And I'm thinking about, okay, like Orlando, L.A., right? And imagine being a professional athlete in a city that is just kind of okay with Philadelphia. Or excuse me, it's okay with sports. Like, we enjoy it. We enjoy an outing. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to people in California, and they're like, well, yeah, the sports are okay, but, like, we would much rather go to the beach, right? It's like, what? The beach? Like, okay, I get it, but if there's a game on, you guys don't have radios on or anything? I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, what? That's ridiculous. But can you imagine that? And I'm just using that as an example. But could you imagine just a player going from a sports city like that where it's just like, oh, man, on sports, to Philadelphia? And look, it's not that in particular isn't just Philadelphia, like any crazed sports town. And the awakening that is probably for that player. A.J. Brown coming from Nashville. I've been to Nashville. Nashville's an awesome party town. They can get behind their teams, certainly, but not like Philly. I've been to a Titans game. They're big fans of their team. They're not Philadelphia. And I'll give credit to other cities. Boston, they do it right. All the sports. New York, yeah, you got so many people, you better show up for a game. Anyway, but like it's very passionate. I will say Baltimore, and you guys might say I'm a little biased, but Baltimore does have a very good fan base when it comes to the Ravens, when it comes to the Orioles. It's a great – Baltimore's baseball life is a lot like Philadelphia's baseball life. Like, hey, look, baseball's a long season. Football is really expensive. So if you guys are going to, earn my dollar to show up at the ballpark at Camden Yards, well, then you better earn my dollar. You better be something worth spending money on. And that's how we feel in Philadelphia. But once you give us that, oh, we're there, baby. We're there. And Baltimore, with the Orioles playing as well as they have, not to the Phillies, lost 2 of 3. But with the Baltimore Orioles playing as well as they have played, you get people showing up at the ballpark. But Philadelphia, imagine being a player like anybody new, right? Jalen Carter, for instance, coming in here to Philadelphia and being amongst this. Might not be that big a difference coming from coming from Georgia, or almost Alabama. But everyone's really excited. But being an NFL player that has played in a market that's not nearly as ruckus as Philadelphia and coming over here, that's got to be a wow moment, man. That's really got to be a wow moment. So I look forward to seeing what these guys can do on the field. Because if they get this kind of boost from the Philadelphia fan, I can't wait to see them on the field and see what they do. So that was Nick Sirianni at practice yesterday for how things are looking right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. Defensively speaking, not just Jalen Carter, not just Nakobe Dean, but that safety position. I really can't. I was talking to you guys about this a second ago. I really can't get over the idea of Kayvon Wallace actually getting number 1 reps, splitting number 1 reps. Obviously, he's been in the league a couple years now. For whatever reason, he hasn't been able to crack into that first team. He's barely been able to crack into the second team. And now to talk about getting first team reps with Terrell Edmunds, a veteran in this league, coming over from a pretty damn good defense with the Pittsburgh Steelers and playing a number, 75 starts with them. That's a guy who knows what he's doing. I think the biggest compliment so far, and the guy that has been one of the biggest surprises so far of training camp, is Kayvon Wallace. I can't believe I'm seeing him get first team reps, albeit split, but first team reps with Terrell Edmunds. With the Eagles bringing in a veteran, obviously the veteran, a guy that they want to have some confidence in, not a lot of experience with Reed Blankenship. They want to have somebody back there that has experience. For them to pass over the rookie in Sidney Brown and say Kayvon Wallace and Terrell Edmunds are the number 1 and 1A, I find to be astonishing so far. I find that to be mind-blowing so far. Of all the competitions, look, Cam Jurgens is the starting right guard. Nick Sirianni was asked about Cam Jurgens, and why not just say Cam Jurgens is the starting right guard? Why not just come out and say it, Nicholas? And he's like, because I don't have to. And it's like, oh, you dirty rat. Like, just basically teasing us right now. Look, we all know what's what. Okay, Cam Jurgens is your starting right guard. If it was anything different, they would have changed it up. They did have Jason Kelce take off towards the end of practice yesterday, like midway through practice. Jason Kelce was done, and they had Cam Jurgens as the starting center, then Tyler Steen as the starting right guard. But that's only because Cam Jurgens was moved over to center. That's the only reason. But why not come out and say it? Well, because competition. Again, one of their core values, competition. But as far as that starting safety job goes, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that plays out, because that, to me, is one of the closest battles at camp. The fact that you got guys splitting with the first team, you have a third-round pick in Sidney Brown that you want to take over that spot. I'm watching that like a hawk. And now, with Miles Jack being here, and Nakobe Dean taking some time away due to the ankle injury, I wonder how fast Nakobe Dean's ankle is going to feel better now that Miles Jack is here. I wonder. I do wonder. But defensively speaking, we heard Sean Desai speak at the end of last week just about the overall defense. Not a lot really came out of that press conference in watching that, listening to that. Not a whole lot. I just get the sense that Sean Desai, for the way he speaks, for how he talks about his team, with his knowledge of the city already, having coached at Temple, understanding the Philadelphia fan base a little bit, I think Sean Desai is going to have a little bit more leeway. Oh, and also that he's not Jonathan Gannon. I think he's going to be given a little bit of leeway here. But one thing that we don't talk about enough that I was thinking about, because he was asked about Jalen Carter being on pace. He's talked about Nolan Smith. That was another guy that really jumped off yesterday at practice. A lot of people tweeting about Nolan Smith, talking about how the speed really jumps out to you there, and that's great. You know, at the NFL level, being able to still see that speed, albeit at practice, is a great thing. So that's fantastic. But listening to a lot of people talk about him and reading about him, Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter and Nakobe Dean when he's out there, let's talk about it like this with Sean Desai. Sean Desai has been given some pretty big chips here, some very valuable chips on this defense. It hasn't been big splashes in free agency or anything like that, but you're now given 2 first-round picks. If you include Jordan Davis, your last 3 first-round picks have been to help your defense. You now have the keys to those castles. You now have the keys to those Cadillacs, if you will. How is he going to deploy them? How is he going to make them have absolute success? How is he going to make them reach their full potential? He says the right things. I love what he has to say as far as describing his defense, wanting them to be palpable, right? Wanting them to, like he said in his introductory press conference, he wants them to reflect the city of Philadelphia. Tough, nasty, that whole thing. I'm all here for it. I'm here for it, man. But when it comes to this defense, and it comes to those two defensive tackles, when it comes to that outside linebacker, the edge rusher, and Nolan Smith, and when it comes to the Kobe Dean when healthy, how is he going to deploy these guys to really make this defense feel palpable and make this defense reflect the city and the type of defense this city wants to see? Very much looking forward to seeing that. Saturday, got our first glimpse of Brian Johnson as a play caller and Sean Desai as a defensive coordinator. It's all right there in front of us. Before I get to the chat check, I do want to get into this conversation because I do find this to be very, very interesting. I got to get back to the Phillies. Trey Turner's mother was crying, according to Trey Turner. Trey Turner's mother, who booed her own son, allegedly, when he swung at a ball in the dirt. It was something really special this weekend, and I am so unbelievably for it. I know a lot of people, for whatever reason, didn't like it, but I want to speak to those people for just 1 second. Where's the negative? There are people that don't like Trey Turner getting the support that he got. I just have a question. Where's the negative? And the only thing that I see that people really highlight as a potential, I don't even want to say potential, but the only thing they see as a negative is that, well, what are we going to do? We're going to cheer Kyle Schwarber, although he had 3 hits yesterday. What are we going to do? Cheer Kyle Schwarber when he's hitting 180? Well, no. You mean the guy that's on pace now for 41 home runs? You mean the guy that still has, a 320, 330 on base percentage? No, I'm not gonna boo. I'm not gonna cheer. Like, I'll cheer when he does stuff like that, but he busted out of a 0 for 19 slump yesterday with that home run. It's not bad. 3-hit ball game for him. Yeah, I'll take that. What are we gonna do? Cheer Joel Embiid when he gets bounced out of the playoffs again? No. We cheered Joel Embiid through 2 foot surgeries, missing his first 2 seasons. We immediately had his back when he stepped on the court for the first time. I was at his first game in the NBA. I can still remember the buzz and the electricity in the air in that game. That's awesome. We've had his support. We've given him his support. Now it's time for production. Trey Turner didn't have that support. When he got here and he first signed here, we loved seeing him. Then he had his struggles. And you know what? We were on him when we should be on him. We gave him the tough love. This was a matter of what can possibly break him out of this this mental rut that he is in. Lift him up. You know, it's something a lot of athletes talk about here. So don't pile on us when we're struggling. You know, lift us up. That's not always going to be the case. But you know when it is going to be the case? When a $300 million man signs that contract in Philadelphia and shows us for 4 months that he can't find his way out of it, with the exception of a good June, but can't show his way out of it, can't find his way out of it. What's the last option there? The hitting coach can't do it. The manager can't do it. His teammates apparently can't do it. He can't do it on his own. The president of baseball ops can't do it. The general manager can't do it. Nobody can do it. So you know who took a crack at it? The Philadelphia fans. And you know what happened? Trey Turner hit 333 in this series. So again, I'll ask, where's the negative? Well, people won't think we're a tough fan base anymore. No, we're a tough fan base. It's proven many times over. It's okay to be a tough fan base and still have these moments of realizing a situation to be like, you know what? What can I do to help? Instead of just booing, instead of just ripping them incessantly, what can I do to help? Standing up. Where's the harm? You do it, you support a guy, and he fails again. How does that hurt? You have then done more than maybe you ever have. The most you ever have. I mentioned Pat Burrell. I mentioned Alec Boehm last year. You might have done more than those situations, especially since this was a high-price free agent coming in here and not a guy that you were already invested in as a young as a young ball player that you knew was going to have a long career here in Philadelphia. Whether it be Alec Boe, whether it be Pat Burrell, or whether that now be Trey Turner coming in here for a 10-year deal. Take a crack at doing something different, seeing if you could be the difference. And maybe the Philadelphia fans were the difference. So far, I like a guy hitting 333. And yes, it's a small sample size. But to me, I still don't see any negative whatsoever. This sets a bad precedent. How? The fact that you tried to do something different. It's a beautiful thing. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. As far as the actual games go here, I find this to be very interesting. You lost the first game. Aaron Nola struggled again. That was terrible. You win the second game, the Trey Turner game, right? 4 RBIs. That's nice. And then yesterday was a wild game. You're down 3-0 in the first inning. Taijuan Walker, I don't look forward to press conferences with players in baseball after, post-game press conferences. But with Trey Turner, Trey Turner in specific Saturday, I wanted to see because, that was so freaking cool what he said, But Taijuan Walker is an enigma because his velocity is down. And I talked about this dead arm period, and he alluded to that yesterday. He said it might just be that part in the season. Aaron Nola went through it a little bit earlier and still seems to be going through it. Maybe not with velocity, but maybe with control. But Taijuan Walker was just like, yeah, maybe it's that part in the season where my velocity is going to be dipping 3 to 4 miles per hour. Maybe he's going to have to rely on that splitter a little bit more. Maybe he's going to have to rely on that sinker a little bit more. But yesterday certainly struggled in that first inning, and before you blink, you're down 3-0. And then you go into that bottom of the first inning. Bryson Stott, with his first ever opposite field home run, a 3-run home run to left field, about an inch over the metal railing in left field into the petunias, and you're all of a sudden tied at 3. You go on in that game in the second inning. Melendez then goes up there and gets a solo home run with 2 outs. It's a 4-3 ball game. Kyle Schwarber steps up there in the bottom of the second inning, again answers back. Stubbs gets the leadoff home run, Stubbs gets the leadoff single. Schwarber answers with the home run. It's a 5-4 game, and the Phillies never lost the lead after that. Schwarber would go on to have another 2 hits in the ball game. Bryce Harper would add a sac fly RBI, just missing a home run in his own right to make it an 8-4 game, and that would be the final score of the game, 8-4, with the Phillies getting the win, taking 2-3 from the Royals. Baseball's a hard game. Sports are hard. Winning is hard. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just happy they won a series. Yes, you should sweep a team that hasn't even, cracked the 50-win mark in the Kansas City Royals. Yeah, they're a pretty terrible team. I think you cracked the 40-win mark. What the hell am I saying? And now you got a team like the Nationals coming to town. I know it's divisional. I know it's a 4-game series. You should win that series as well. Sweeps are great. All right, doing everything you're supposed to do is great. But they are hard. So I'll acknowledge that. So they at least won the series, and they bounced back from Aaron Nola, letting them down again in game 1. Love what I'm seeing so far for the Phillies. They're 10 games over 500 again. So I absolutely love that. Let's get into the chat check. See how you wonderful people are doing on this fine morning. I'm going to start it over on the Jacob Media YouTube channel here. Got 2 comments. Jay Owen. Jay Owen, what's going on? Zach Cunningham is a huge signing. Love it as well. Jay goes on to say, sorry, Farzy, we're no longer a tough fan base. Care about everything others have to say, always chasing the hug and crying about getting disrespected. Jay, I'll say this. How is that ever different? I find it interesting that you went there, getting disrespected, chasing the hug. I always feel like no one likes this. We don't care. I love it, but I don't agree with it. I always think we care. Like, we don't care in this sense. We can be guests at a party, and we're going to be us at that party. And the hosts of the party, or the host of the party, might be like, can you guys, I don't know, just kind of chill out for a second here? Like, nope, this is us, deal with it. Like, that's, I guess, how we don't care. We'll be that. We'll go to the party, and we'll be that loud person at the party. We don't really give a damn. But when we're not at the party and people are talking ish on us, and then we catch wind of it, that's where we care. Like, if you say it to our face, we don't care, go to hell, we don't care. But if we're somewhere else and somebody else is saying, oh, those Philly fans are really stupid, a little obnoxious, and then we're like, what did you say? Then we care. But there, we're like, buzz off. We don't give a damn. That's kind of how I would describe us in terms of no one likes us. We don't care as long as we're there to tell them we don't care. But yes, I feel like whenever we get disrespected, whenever there's a problem, whenever somebody says we're the worst or whatever, a lot of times we embrace it and we enjoy it. But then there'll be people disrespecting the city of Philadelphia, and then we have a problem. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, for instance, saying, he doesn't like Philadelphia. We're whatever the hell he called us, MFers, whatever the heck it was, obnoxious MFers. Thank you, buddy. That's something that'll rub us the wrong way. But I feel like that's always been the case. No one likes us. We all care, says Jay. That's fair. Yeah, is more appropriate. That's more accurate. But as far as this anymore, we're no longer a tough fan base. In reference to the Trey Turner thing, I don't see how that has any influence over us being a tough fan base or not. I'd rather be a smart fan base, a well-educated fan base, and an influential fan base. Can you imagine if Trey Turner goes on to hit over 300 for the rest of the year? Who influenced him? Who turned it around? Not Kevin Long, not Rob Thompson, the Philadelphia fan. That's who turned it around. Jump over to the Farzy Show channel. What's going on, everybody, over here? April, good morning. Sean Kilrain, good morning. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Sean Kilrain, public practice 50,000 plus. That's pretty incredible. Always one moronic Cowboys fan. Absolutely. Sean Kilrain, I said Miles Jack. What you want, Sean? I was trying to think of who said it. You said it. Miles Jack would come here. Liking the move. Let's go, Farzy. Hey, I'm on board, man. Sean Kilrain was down there. Wrong guy had a Cowboys flag was flying. Wrong move, bucko. Leonard, nice to see you in the live chat, man. Let's see his defense now. Or let's see this defense now. I'm very excited. Very excited. Sean Kilrain, Jeff Stoutland compares Cam Jurgens to Brandon Brooks. I believe it coming from Stoutland University. How about Jeff Stoutland at that same press conference talking about the Trey Turner thing before it even happened? That was Friday's press conference. It was like, big night tonight. I love Jeff Stoutland. Big night tonight. Down to the Phillies game, going, standing O, let's go. It's like Jeff Stoutland now gives a damn about Trey Turner. How awesome is this? I love when our teams are like building each other up. And you could call it pandering, but whenever Nick Sirianni wears like a Phillies jersey or a Phillies hat or a Phillies shirt, whatever it might be, I love it. Pander to me. As much as humanly possible, because I love it. I bask in it. B.I. Sanchez, power and finesse. Sorry. Trey is coming around. Finesse with a PH. Sean Kilrain, I think absolutely. I'm excited about that. Yohan Rojas got picked off at first base yesterday with Zach Greinke on the hill. And that was frustrating. I get when you get guys with speed on the bases, like, I don't even think you have to be a big baseball fan. But if you know you got speed on the bases, that's edge of your seat stuff. You're on the edge of your seat going, is he going to go? Is he going to go? Is he going to go? Is he going to go first to third? Is he going to score? By the way, Kyle Schwarber's trying to go first to third. Who was it? Was it Harper? I think it was Harper. No, it wasn't Harper. Who the hell was it? That's escaping my brain. Hold on. Did I write it down? Yeah. Fifth inning yesterday, Kyle Schwarber gets the single. So he's on first base. And then Bryce Harper steps up, puts one into right center field. And Schwarber, who was not running on the pitch, tried to go first to third on it. And, unfortunately, that didn't work out. Then what happened? Nick Castellanos stepped up, and he had a 2-run home run to make it a 7-4 ball game. Yep, that wasn't great. Would have been a 3-run home run. Nah. But, he was out by a mile. Yohan Rojas getting picked off, not cool. Yohan Rojas getting a hit, an infield single later in the ballgame, that was cool. I really like Yohan Rojas. I want to see him play more. He'll certainly get that opportunity. And right after, I was like, oh, bad. It's too bad for Brandon Marsh. I was like, oh, this is good for Yohan Rojas. Let's see what we got. Thoughts on the fight? Oh, April. Thoughts on the fight at the Guardians game? Should have thrown your gloves down to start a fight and then be wait. Oh, shouldn't sorry, April, I'm butchering this. Shouldn't throw your gloves down to start a fight, then be mad when you get knocked the F out. Yeah, I had the same thought, April. I did see the fight. I loved it. Look, if you're gonna fight. Don't do the bear hug thing and then hope everybody else breaks it up. If you're pissed off, which I didn't understand what was so wrong about what happened and why the fight started, I think that's dumb. But the actual fight, okay, better than the vast majority of, better than 99% of the fights you're going to see in baseball. The fact that they actually squared up, man, they put up your dukes and they were swinging. If you're going to fight. Terry Francona after the fight, if you haven't seen it, just Google it. You'll see it. Whatever. Terry Francona after the game was like, it's not funny, as he's laughing his ass off. It's not funny, but, you know. And then he didn't say anything. And I'm like, yeah, it's not funny, but, you know, it's hilarious. My thing is, if you're going to fight, you got to fight. My thought is don't scream and yell and hope other people jump in to stop it. If you're going to fight, you just go up. You got to not sucker punch a guy, but if you're going to throw a punch, better land it. Timmy Anderson, thank you. Yes, he's the one that went down for the count. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, the Guardians game. Oh, I did hear the Cleveland announcement. Okay, so some of you guys have heard this. Other people have not. Here's what's interesting. So my in-laws are all Cleveland Indians people. My wife is, I mean, she doesn't really follow sports, but she has some allegiances to Cleveland sports. Her father, her mother, they're all Cleveland sports fans. Her parents are both from Cleveland. They both went to Ohio State. Well, I shouldn't say from Cleveland. God forbid I disrespect Van Wert or Norwalk, Ohio. But anyway, they're big Indians fans. So Guardians fans, mi scusi. And they were watching it and loved every second of it. And they're like, oh, this announcer is incredible. If you don't know him, you should listen to him. And I was like, this guy is great. He's like, you know what he's like? And I want to make sure I get his name right. Did you guys write it down? Cleveland announced it in April. Okay. Whoever their announcers are, their announcer. When I was listening to it, it sounded like Tom McGinnis doing baseball. Okay, I think that paints a good picture for people in Philadelphia. He went right into fight mode, man. Right into fight mode. Jose Ramirez just got a call to do a celebrity boxing match versus Frank the Tank Mets fan. Wow, that's hilarious. Just a Teep. What's up, Just? How you doing? Cunningham is at Sam. Dean at Mike. Jack at Will. Looks good on paper. Yeah, I'm fine with that. The thing that I find interesting is that the Eagles are pretty set on edge rushers, outside linebackers. But, yeah, they'll put it this way. You're going to see the rotation. I think there's going to be a rotation with linebackers with this Eagles defense, and I look forward to that. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Let me tell you guys right now about the Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Phillies back at it tonight to start a 4-game series with the Washington Nationals. Don't look now. The Nationals are actually playing themselves some good baseball, if you can believe it. Oh, you know what I didn't do? How dare I? Ladies and gentlemen, your current National League wild card standings. Look, I shouldn't feel like this, but I can't help but feel like this. Phillies being 3 games up in the wild card, even with the San Francisco Giants for the top spot. Then the Cubs, then the Reds. Being 3 games up in the wild card feels like it's 10 games up in the wild card. Here's the way it breaks down. Your wild card spots, Giants, Phillies, Cubs. Reds are in there as well. Marlins are a half game out of wild card contention. Diamondbacks a game and a half out of wild card contention. Padres 3 games out of wild card contention. Pirates 7.5 games out of wild card contention. The Cubs being in the wild card right now after where they were at the start of the second half of the season is absolutely mind-blowing to me. And I put this down yesterday. I made this note. I want to make sure I get this right for you. So here it is. Cody Bellinger, 13 for 31. That's a .419 batting average during his 8-game hitting streak. He has raised his batting average on the season. Okay? Since June 15th, his batting average on the season has gone from 271, not bad, to 326. That's insane. That's since he returned from a bone bruise. Oh, so I guess that's why the Cubs didn't trade him. Yeah. Go figure. 3 games up in the wild card, man. 10 games over 500. Absolutely beautiful. Phillies and Nationals get things underway tonight, 6:40 in South Philadelphia when they start this 4-game series. Trevor Williams will get the start against Ranger Suarez. And as for the Nationals, how about this, man? This is incredible. Nationals come into the game having won 4 straight. They just swept the Cincinnati Reds to help out the Phillies a little bit. The Brewers, they took 2 or 3 from the Brewers. They have a 4-game winning streak coming into Philadelphia. So don't look now. Nationals could be figuring it out, ladies and gentlemen. But as far as this game goes tonight, Ranger Suarez gets the ball again after I'll call it a bounce-back start. I don't give a damn. Bounce-back start against the Miami Marlins where he went 6 innings, 6 1/3, allowing 1 run. It was earned on 10 hits, issuing 2 walks in 6 1/3. Prior to that, he allowed 8 runs in his previous 2 starts combined. As for the National Ranger Suarez, look forward to seeing him return to maybe, June for him. Trevor Williams will get the start, 31-year-old veteran right-handed pitcher. He's 5-6 on the season with a 4.72 ERA. He is coming off 2 bad starts. He's allowed 9 runs in his previous 2 starts, including his last one against the Mets, a 5-4 loss at the hands of the Metropolitans. He lasted just 4 innings, allowing 5 earned runs on 7 hits, including a home run. Looking at his numbers against the Phillies, he did have a okay start against the Phillies in his last go-around back on July 2nd. He went 5 innings, allowing 3 runs on 6 hits, including 2 home runs. And the Phillies did take it to him earlier in the season on June 4th. He allowed 4 runs on 6 hits and 5 2/3 innings of work right there. So he has faced the Phillies a couple of times in this season, and the Phillies have been able to get to the 31-year-old righty. That's the show, everybody. Be back with you guys tomorrow to break it down even further. What's going to go on with the Eagles in a little bit of an off day here, and what's going to go down with the Philadelphia Phillies as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been the Farzy Show. My name is Mark Farzetta. Jim Hyde produced program, did a wonderful job. Great to be back with you guys in the saddle on this Monday. Birds 365 is coming up at 8 o'clock. John McMullen will have all the goings on at training camp on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. See you guys tomorrow. See you guys tonight for the Jacob Media Fightins post-game show with yours truly after hopefully a win over the Nationals. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Bye.